This silly mistake has prevented over 10,000 in profit from coming into your account. And it sounded crazy for me too until I realized this years ago when actually analyzing my own trades. At this time, I was still trying to find my footing in trading different strategies, different trend lines, different indicators, just like you are. Bouncing from strategy to strategy to strategy. You have some success with some strategies, you have some success with other strategies. That's exactly where I found myself. A whole lot of things failed, but a few things went well, and I wound up passing my first funded account for 100,000. And if you pass a funded account, you understand the pure exhilaration that you feel. You're on cloud nine. You as a trader, you feel incredible until you found out you could have made over 10,000 more. And very quickly, when you realize there should be an extra $10,000 into your trading account, yes, you're still happy over the funded account, but you're not as happy as you once were. That was exactly the place I found myself in years ago. My trades and my results told me I left so much money on the table, literally preventing well over $10,000. Then I went into the trading community I was currently a part of at the time. I told them, hey, I passed this funded account, but I left so much money on a table from my first payout. Everyone said, oh, you're doing great, you're doing fine, don't worry about it. That comes with just trading a strategy. Then I thought to myself, would you be okay if you found 20,000 on a park bench, but only decided to grab 5,000 of that and leave the rest there? No, you wouldn't. You would be sick. You would be thinking about that 15K wrestling over. And this is exactly how I felt. I was sick to my stomach, and I told myself there has to be a way to prevent the prevention of all of that money that should have been in my account. I'm not just going to tell you what I did. I prevented the thousands of dollars in trading. I'm going to give you the quick solution to fix that, the quick solution to make that solution better, and how to go to horizons you never thought possible in trading, and how to get the absolute most you possibly can out of your trading strategy. Because remember this, leaving any money on the table, whether a dollar or $10,000, is that broke trader mentality. Getting every single possible dollar you can from your strategy is the rich trader mentality. So I want you to ask yourself, do you want to be broke trader or rich trader? If you want to be rich trader, stick around. So how are we able to actually start maximizing every dollar we can possibly make from the market? Well, it's easy. Consistency is exactly how we do that. And yeah, I know we had to erase Buddy. Let's redraw him. Boom, here he is. Consistency is that one thing. Because I realized if I as a trader able to trade consistently over and over again, then I will be on the road to stopping the prevention of money into the account and actually start allowing the most possible money I can possibly make from my strategy. There's a story of the little girl that was selling lemonade. And this little girl, she had weak hands. And she would try to squeeze these lemons as hard as she could, but she could only get about 70% of the juice out. So she had to constantly keep buying more and more lemons, and she wasn't making nearly as much money because she had to buy more lemons, couldn't sell as much lemonade. So she had a higher cost, lower sales, wasn't making as much money as she could, but she was still making money. But this little girl found a way to get two rocks, squeeze the lemon between those two rocks, then actually hit the rock so more juice would come out. So now she was able to reap 100% of the lemon's juice instead of just 70%. And she went from a little bit of money to a lot of money just with that extra 30%, because that extra 30% was all profit for her. This is exactly that shift between broke trader and rich trader. And you want to be rich trader, right? Perfect. So how did I make this switch? Yes, consistency, but consistency how? Simple. Created this consistency through system. If you've been on this channel, you have an idea what a system is. But when I first discovered a system, it was rather accidentally, because I told myself there has to be a better way. There has to be a way I can get all the juice I possibly can. And I stumbled across somebody actually selling a system. And I thought, hey, this is interesting. So I bought into their system. I learned it, implemented parts of my strategy with it. And that next month, I made more money than I ever had in my life. Just kidding. Actually, I lost a bunch of money because the system didn't work. Just like you have breakthroughs in trading. You think you have an aha moment just to be hit in the face again and not just back at square one, but below it. That's exactly how I felt. And I said to myself, maybe a system isn't the best way to go. And years later, I was talking to a hedge fund manager, and he told me that everyone in his world, managing billions of dollars, they all trade with systems. But I said, oh, systems don't work. I tried that before, lost a lot of money, paid a crazy amount of money for it, and none of it worked. You paid money for strategies in the past that you had high hopes of, and it just didn't work. So you understand that feeling. You're not just upset that you got, but now you don't even have faith in that trading style anymore. That's exactly how I felt towards being consistent through a system instead of a strategy. But I said, hey, you know what? Let's try this one more time. This guy's fun, has a lot of money. He knows what he's talking about. I tried it again, but instead of getting somebody else's, I created my own system. And what's the system? It's simple. Your strategy plus an execution method plus your emotions. That's all a system is. And a system is so important because once you combine all three of these elements by taking a proven strategy with a proven edge, an execution method to execute that strategy, and a way to be able to 100% kill your emotions in trading, now you've been able to develop a system. And that system allows you to be consistent. And if the strategy has an edge, you execute it flawlessly, you don't have emotions, then that system is going to be profitable and allow you to consistently do it over and over and over again. And because you don't have emotions in your trading, you are squeezing that lemon, but hitting it with the rock as well. When I came to this realization through looking at my own system, I said to myself, we're no longer up here. And that was a mind-blowing moment. So first step, get your system. Because you don't want to be this guy, right? If you do, keep trading your strategy, keep making the money you're making. And if you're fine with the 30% you throw away, that's okay. But if you were like me years ago, you can't afford to leave that 30% on the table. That 30% is your car payment. That 30% is your rent payment. That 30% is your vacation at the end of the year. That 30% is just your savings. So you can start living, stop working so much. That's how it was for me, at least. So making this shift here to this guy down here. So if you want to move out of this space and make your own proven system, I want to teach you how to develop your 3-tier system that you're absolutely going to squeeze the market with. Don't think that you're so special that a system that takes you out the equation won't work. But first, the system. I have this system. Now it's like, okay, well, RD, you have this system. Great. Now, why do you have 2 other points? 2 other points are important because I had a system, but the system needed to be optimized. Because understand, I was still making 100% of the results I could have made with my strategy because I put it in the system. So it was being squeezed 100%. But what if I optimized my strategy so that the amount of juice in the lemon was greater, so that when I squeezed 100% of it, more than 100% before comes out? In other words, optimizing for a more profitable strategy. Optimize equals more juice. So how does this look in actuality, in actual practice? Simple. More juice optimization, we want to look for 2 things. We want to assess our win rate and our risk to reward. If there's only 2 things you can remember this, is win rate and risk to reward. As long as you remember these things, you can create a profitable system today. You can do it very quickly. It's very simple, but it's not easy to do. But I promise you it's simple. And the simpler the strategy, the better the strategy. So make sure you have a win rate that is good relative to your risk to reward. What does that mean? If you only win 50% of your trades, then you know you need at least a 1 to 2 risk to reward to be break even. So your risk to reward should be over a 1 to 2 for a 50% win rate. If it is, then you have decent numbers. If your risk to reward is a 1 to 3, and your win rate's at 50%, you have very good numbers. And the more you are able to increase these 2 numbers, the more you are able to optimize your strategy that goes inside your system, which is the more juice you are able to get out of that lemon. And if you follow this step, then yes, we're getting 100% of the lemon squeeze at this step, but now we have more juice to squeeze out of this lemon because we've been able to optimize it because we're focusing on these 2 metrics, win rate, risk to reward. Remember those 2 things, you'll be more than fine. But RD, I don't know how to optimize my strategy. I know to look for win rate, I know to look for risk to reward, but how do I actually go about testing it? Don't worry, I got you. You're gonna go to TradingView because it's free, it's simple. You're gonna go back and you're gonna plot every single time you would have taken a trade without looking at the chart. You're gonna plot it, you're gonna go to something like TradeZella, or if you want a free option, go to Notion, and plot each and every single one of those trades and mark them. See which one's won, which one's lost, what do the losers have in common, what do the winners have in common. It could be you have most of your winners in the US session and a few winners, but a lot of losers in the London session. So logic says, let's stop trading London session and just trade US session. Great, we just optimize our strategy. That may give a 50% win rate, a 55% win rate, a 1 to 3 risk reward, a 1 to 3.2. What did we effectively do? Increase this, increase this. Great. What does that mean? More juice, baby. And the more juice we have, the more money we're able to make, because we know we're getting each and every single drop we can. Years ago, when I used to trade the London session with a strategy, I would take breaks, because that's 3 a.m. US time, and go on a pull-up bar, do some pull-ups every hour or so, just to keep me awake. In this pull-up bar, I didn't get a wrench to screw these screws in. I just used my hand, got it as good as I could get it. Well, guess what? After a few pull-ups, that little nut that's attached to the screw, it just popped off and the whole thing collapsed and it hurt really badly. But I picked it back up because I still need to stay awake. I put it back up. I screwed it in again with my hands, but I was hesitant. Because have you ever got into a trade or bought a course or bought a strategy and it worked out terribly? It hurt your pockets, and then you became skeptical of everything else that even looked like it, smelled like it, sounded like it. Like you didn't even want to be near it? That's exactly how I felt towards this pull-up bar. But here's the thing. Instead of just screwing it with my hand, I still did that, but then I got a wrench. I still did that, but I did a deep search in the garage while the trading session was still going. Very blessed. I didn't miss a trade. Ran back to my pull-up bar and I screwed it and screwed it and screwed it in with a wrench. And guess what? The pull-up bar didn't break. What? I know, it's crazy, right? Because even though the nuts and the bolts and the screws were already very tight with my hand, because I screwed it as hard as I possibly could, that little extra screw in I was able to do with the wrench was all the difference between something that worked and something that didn't work. That little extra boost in risk to reward and win rate can be more money in your pocket, or for a lot of traders like me, it can mean all the difference between a broke trader and a rich trader. Something that simple. The system is great because the system gives you juice. The system makes the bolt tight, but it doesn't give you all the juice. The nuts and bolts are as tight as you can make it, and it feels secure, right? And the strategy is okay because the strategy is still going to give you juice, and it's still going to make the nuts and bolts feel tight on that pull-up bar, but it's never going to give you the most juice you can get. It's never going to make those nuts and bolts as tight as it can possibly be on that pull-up bar, and that can be the whole difference between your whole trading crashing to the ground at 4 a.m. in the morning, midway through a pull-up, or joining this guy down here. Does that make sense? Isn't it amazing how if you just change 2 pieces of this optimized strategy, it can actually be the difference between something actually working in your trading or something just absolutely blowing up in your trading, just focusing on these 2? That's nuts, isn't it? When I came to this moment, I had an aha. And my thought became, I need to optimize as much as I can to get the most that I can out of my trading so I don't have another month where I've left thousands on the table. Now you're probably asking yourself, and I've hinted towards it, but you're asking yourself, well, RD, what's the secret that is preventing over $10,000 in profit in my account? It's more in front of your face than you realize. But first, let's hit this last point to drive this home. So expansion to new, what the heck does that mean? It's simple. Expansion to new levels. Because in order for us to make that shift from the broke guy to the rich guy, yes, we want to be able to get 100% of that juice. Yes, we want to optimize so we can get more juice. But you can have an incredibly optimized, well-oiled machine of a system. But if you're only trading with $100, you're never going to get rich from that. I'm sorry. I'm bursting your bubble. I get it. It's just not reality. Expansion to new levels. How can we get more trading capital to expand knowing we have a winning system? And look, this can be multiple ways. Most popular, funded accounts. I personally am not the biggest fan of funded accounts because I understand there's a lot of fraudulent ones out there, and I never like to endorse one funded account over another funded account. I know traders that have just gone out and literally gotten loans from the bank. Traders that have gone out and borrowed against their credit card, just to have 10, 20, $30,000 to trade with. And I know that sounds nuts. You're like, oh, credit card. Am I telling you to do that? No, 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 no. I'm not telling you to do that. But in their mind, they were saying to themselves, okay, if I withdraw, say, about 10, 20,000 from my trading account, then I only have to pay about $500 in minimum payments for that. Well, $500 off of $20,000 is roughly around 2.5%. Now, again, these are example numbers from them, not me. So their question just became, can my system make more than 2.5% a month on average? Because they developed this 3-tier system, they realized my average month is not just 2.5%, my average month is 8%, 9%. So even if I have a down month, I'll still be fine. That was their method of expansion. So I'm not suggesting that. I'm not suggesting funded accounts. I'm not suggesting anything. But don't focus on flipping $100 into 10,000 or $500 into 10,000. Instead, figure out with this $100, with this $500, how can I use this money to get more capital to trade with? Because I know I have a proven system and I'm comfortable putting money into it. If you follow these 3 steps, you will be in a league greater than what you even realize. And you're not going to be spending any more time up here because it's painful to spend time up here. There's a lot of tears to spend time up here. There's a lot of self-doubt to spend time up here. There's a lot of dreams lost spending time up here when you know you can and should be not da-da-da, this guy down here. And it's a simple shift to do it. Now you may be asking yourself, RD, look, I know what that secret was that was preventing you, but just for the people that don't, why don't you let me know too? I got you. That one thing that was truly preventing over 10,000 in profit to coming into my account was simply exiting trades too soon, not following my strategy to a T, and not trading a trade when I should have because of emotion. That's it. What does that look like? That looks like on a funded account, you getting out at $500 profit to just lock profit in instead of holding to the 1,500 that your strategy tells you to. That right there is $1,000. It could look like you just not trading a trade because you don't think it's going to win. It could look like you holding a losing trade longer than you should. And when I went back and I added up all of these winners cut short, losers held too long, trades not executed that should have, the hesitation that caused me to get a worse entry, so a worse risk to reward than I should have gotten, it totaled up to be thousands of dollars I missed on my profits. And for me at that time, I couldn't afford to miss it. So I started squeezing every single cent I could out of my strategy by putting it into a system and no longer staying here because of this, but transition to here because of this. I'm RD Trades, baby, and I'm out.